Welcome to Chadwick Experience Podcast, where experience is priceless. Today, I have a very phenomenal guest. If you're a basketball lover, there's an old documentary called Hoop Dreams. I highly recommend any parents or students to watch this documentary because sometimes basketball has lessons that's on the court and off the court. I don't think he needs no introduction, but I have William Gates here.
Glad to be here with you, Chad. Thank you for that intro. From the beginning, we're talking about Hoop Dreams. You know, interesting enough, this is 2024. Hoop Dreams is celebrating 30 years.
Yep, 94.
30 years of just being impacted by sports in the sense of what Hoop Dreams has done as a community. This movie is a representation of life.
Stay tuned in. Chadwick Experiences, William Gates, Hoop Dreams, 5th quarter, Dreams Don't Die. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to be continuing William as he talks more about Hoop Dreams.
But at the same time, you know, what I've always tried to tell people is that this movie is a representation of life.
Yeah.
When people watch it, for some, it's a personal reflection of their own life and how they grew up. You know, I had a very interesting conversation with Scoop Jackson, good friend, amazing writer. Just bona fide, legit. And I remember asking him his thoughts on the movie. And he said, "Well, I'm going to be honest with you." He said, "Man, it was a great movie." But he said, "It was my life. I lived it too." So to me, Hoop Dreams has been that for a lot of people. In other words, it has become the voice for those who have not had the opportunity to speak. So seeing it on the film, as great as the movie was, it was still a reflection of just life for a lot of inner city kids. But one of the things that I had shared with Scoop too was I said, it showed that aspect of basketball from the inner city. But I said, there's a lot of suburban kids who found themselves, who wanted that dream. So I said, it wasn't just about the hardship. It was also about the aspiration, the goal, you know, what it took and what it takes, you know, to make it to the next level, whatever that next level may be, whether it's high school basketball, college, pros. Yep. It had so many different aspects. And I think wherever your heart is at that particular time when you're watching it, that's what it has the meaning for you.
Exactly, man. And I'm so happy you talked about that. So many different ways. There was, two different angles, you and Arthur. But for me, suburbia, I grew up in North Carolina and a country guy. I've always thought I was going until I went to a real camp and some competition and Chris Paul was there and he dropped 50 points on us. And my perspective changed to say, I need to look at an NIA school if I was going to play. But thanks for sharing that with us, William. And I'm going to just go ahead and get it started. Again, I love how you talk about the basketball community. I'm almost 40. I play on a men's basketball team here in Hawaii. And basketball for me, I wasn't on the level that you guys were on. But for me, I was a shy kid. And if it wasn't for basketball and interacting with other people, I probably would have never came out my shell. So I've always looked at basketball as life, also working in a corporation, business, working together as a teammate. And I want to give a shout out to one guy who got me started playing basketball. It's a point guard. We played from middle school to high school, and that's Brad Smith. I would have never played basketball if it wasn't for Brad Smith. So let's go ahead and get started.
Shout out to Brad.
Yeah, Brad Smith. He was a short guy, point guard, had a floater, taught me how to pick and roll. Said box out, get rebounds, block shots. That's all I need you to do. And we won some conference championships together.
Love it.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to jump right in it. I really think people really won't know exactly what Hoop Dreams is unless they seen it. So I'm going to just let you kind of introduce yourself. Where are you from and what's your background, Will?
I'm starting. My name is William Gates, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Grew up in the community. Many people, some are familiar with it. It's no longer, well, there's a pocket of it still existing, but it was called Cabrini Green at one point. It was one of the most notorious inner city communities, not just in Chicago, but throughout the world. Growing up for me, it was sports that, and I could say not just sports, but it was sports and it was our local community organizations that kind of I gravitated toward more because I was an active kid. Like, I didn't want to, I tell my kids all the time now, I laugh at them. I say, hey man, FaceTime was real FaceTime with us. We went outside and,
Yeah.
got in our friend's face. And, I did all the things growing up, man. I flipped on mattresses. I jumped porches. I rode skateboards. I rode bikes. Because a lot of people think about Cabrini and of course, some of the images comes up. It's Good Times, the TV show,
Yeah.
or think about Candyman, the movie. But when I was growing up, our community, man, it was full of working class people. Folks had jobs, and then it wasn't until the middle '80s that it really began to get gang infested, and that kind of changed the narrative of the neighborhood. So it all became about colors. Either you had on red, or you had on blue, or you had on yellow, and that determined, and the colors turned into turf. You can't come on this side of the street and you can't come on that side of the street. But the one neutralizer always was sports.
Wow. That's
So
real.
you played sports, you could go to the left, to the right, to the north, to the east, to the west, to the south, because your sports translated everything.
Wow.
Now, you couldn't play sports and be connected to a game. That wasn't gonna happen. You had to, like they said this day, either you're gonna be a baller or you're gonna be a baller. So you had to figure out which one you were gonna do. So my upbringing, though, I saw a lot of violence. I saw a lot of, loved ones who lost their lives. I saw a lot of the drug, friends that I had that did not make it. It was my older brothers that channeled the sport that gave me some hope. I really believe that if my older brother Curtis was not playing basketball, I think my tale in life would be different. I wouldn't be telling this hoop dream story today. I think God used Curtis in a mighty way to bounce that ball, because basketball wasn't big in our family. I don't know what got him involved. I don't know what made him even want to play, but he became a local celebrity in our neighborhood, and we were known as the Gates brothers. But it was Curtis who started that, and it gave me a vision to want to play. Now, I can honestly say, when I was coming up, I didn't think playing basketball early on was an escape out of the projects. I didn't think that. I was just playing because, why? My brothers were very popular at playing it. I was next in line, and I didn't want to let the family name down. So I grabbed that. And so when I stepped on the court, I was Curtis Gates' little brother. I hadn't developed my name, but I had a reputation. And so I wanted to live in those moments and carry that dream. That was the first dream for me, was just, growing up, having fun, playing the game of basketball. But it wasn't until, I went to fourth grade and I was playing in the gym, and my gym teacher looked at me and said, "Are you Curtis Gates' little brother?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "Man, you should think about joining a junior high basketball team." He says, "You're better than probably 85% of the guys already." And I'm in fourth grade, like, you can't go play on a 7th and 8th grade team. He said, "Listen, show up to practice after school and I'll take care of everything." So I come in and, you got the 7th and 8th grade boys looking at you like, "What are you doing here? What are you doing here?" And so I try out, and not only do I try out, I make the team. And now, this was my first realization of what, hate was all about, and jealousy, because I didn't understand it at the time. But these guys had to wait to 7th and 8th grade to play. And here I come along as a fourth grader, afforded the opportunity to skip steps that they did not get an opportunity to skip. And truthfully, some of them probably could have played, but it wasn't offered to them. So I was kind of thrust into my hoop dreams. And I didn't know it at the time, but because, you know, when you're young, you just want to play. You just want to have fun. But you don't know that the guys that you're playing with, that they don't appreciate you there. You
Yeah,
know, they
that's
don't appreciate
hard if
you.
somebody
Yeah,
younger comes in and start busting them out.
absolutely. They don't appreciate that. They look at that and like, hey man, you're taking my opportunity. So but you know, getting through that, you know, I always had that backbone of Curtis to say, hey, this is what's happening. And Curtis would say, hey man, they ain't got nothing to do with nothing. People love a winner. That was my brother thinking.
That's
Curtis
true.
would say,
That's true.
he
People
said,
love a winner.
people love a winner. You win, he said, all the noise will die down. And so that's what I did. I said, okay, let me show you I can win. So went out there and we won. And before I know it, they're like, Will was one of us now, even though I was still young, but they like, that kid can play. So from there, went on to St. Joseph High School. And, you know, man, it's kind of the same story. I'm a freshman. Coach comes to me and says, hey, I want you to play varsity. Here I go all over again. You know, you gotta go through the same momentum. So, and what's interesting about playing at St. Joe's, I walked into a powerhouse school, and they ain't like grade school where they just glad anybody shows up and plays on the team. I'm at St. Joseph High School. When I walked in, not only were they the number one team in the state, but they were the number one team in the nation.
Wow.
And the coach says, I want you to play varsity. I'm like, okay. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. I wanted to play varsity. I thought I was good enough to play varsity. But my main focus for trying to play varsity was my brother Curtis. Because I told Curtis, I said, hey, man, I'm at St. Joe's. And because when I first went there, I was playing with the JV team. And Curtis was like, I ain't coming to JV games. He's like, I don't do JV. I mean, that was my brother's thing. He's like, I don't do JV games. So we had a Thanksgiving tournament. I played 3 games with the JV, averaged 40 points for the tournament. And that's when the coach said, I want you to play varsity. So I called my brother and said, hey, man, guess what? I made varsity. He's like, yeah, but are you starting? Because I don't come to varsity games if you ain't starting. You know, my brother kept up.
That's a good bar that he raised to you. Salute to Curtis.
Absolutely. He was putting a demand, you know, on my capacity. He's like, listen, there's greatness in you, and I got to help you pull it out because you don't know how to pull it out yet. And so he after I told him, you know, you don't know who's starting until this is the way Coach always did it. Coach Payne would not let you know if you were starting until the walkthrough Friday night. I mean, we played Friday, but Thursday night after practice, we do our walkthrough. That's when you know if you're starting or not. He called my name. So, man, you know, after I'm getting home, running, excited, Curtis, guess what? I'm starting. And he said, I knew you had it in you. I'll be there. But interesting enough, man, I don't think Curtis would have missed the game anyway. But I think he was just putting a demand on me. Hey, man, people love a winner. I mean, that's all I kept hearing in my head. People love a winner. And so from there, playing on varsity, and man, the rest is kind of history. You know, it takes off, you know, and of course, other things happen, knee injuries and stuff like that. But my first couple of years at St. Joe's, my trajectory toward the NBA was on course. You know, that was set in my mind, that was set in my heart, and it was happening. I was really in a great place in terms of everything that I needed to do.
Nice. Great introduction. You kind of answered my second question, was at what age did you know basketball had an impact? So I guess around the 4th grade where you actually played middle school. And in your book, I noticed you said at that time that was unheard of, but there's no rule against that. Does that still exist today? If we had a 4th grader so good that they can maybe skip rec and play on a middle school team, is that a rule?
Absolutely. Wow. It's even greater than that. If you are in grade school and if you're good enough, you can go play high school ball.
Wow.
Long as you're in the district. See, if you're in the district, you can, it doesn't, if you're in the district and that's your district school, then so let's say if you are just a phenom 8th grader, exceptional skills. I mean, you playing at the local YMCA is a joke. So that high school coach can say, we need you now.
Wow.
You can go play with that team.
Well, that's definitely dope, man. I've never heard of that. And again, reading your book has really opened me up outside of basketball. I know anybody who was a 4th grader and played on middle school. I have seen middle school play for high school, by somebody maybe not passing the grade and having the A, but that's real, man. And so thanks for answering that. I think that might have covered what was your first impression of the game of basketball. I know for me, again, I was a shy kid. And I thought it was cool that I wasn't very good, but just doing the things, they always call me like a Dennis Rodman, blocking the shots, boxing out, getting rebounds, going for steals. I thought it was so cool and awesome that I could be a part of something and we win a game by me just doing 3 simple things. So again, if I was ever on your team or even now, Will, when I go to a pickup game, I say, hey, I'm not that good, but I'm going to give you 100% on defense. Who's the best player? And that's who I want to guard. So for you, what was your first impression of basketball? For me, I was just like in awe that me helping somebody could help somebody win. And I love what your brother said. People love winners, and I love winning when I play basketball if I can.
Well, I tell you this, I don't know if I had an impression like that. Because interesting enough, I grew up in a neighborhood, man, where everybody was amazing.
Nice.
So I wasn't like necessarily floored by what I saw, because it was common. Like I saw it all the time. Like me seeing a guy dunk backwards.
Chicago produces them. Dwayne Wade, Derrick Rose. So I think Chicago is just me being a standalone fan of basketball, seeing who comes out of Chicago in general. So yeah, I get it.
So if anything, I would say this: if there was an impression, it was probably more of this, was being able to play the game with my friends growing up. I appreciate that more because I remember, man, we would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, because if you didn't, you couldn't get on the basketball court because it would be filled by 7 o'clock. So, we were young. We would all go knocking on each other's doors, waking each other up. Come on, we got to get to the court before the big guys get there so we can run the full court. And that, if there was anything of a first impression, it would be that when you're young, you get to run and play on the big court, the full court, but you have to do it before anybody else got there. But in terms of seeing great talent, man, it was so common in my neighborhood. If anything, I was in awe with so many guys. In our neighborhood, man, everybody had a nickname. You got to earn nicknames. Yeah. So everybody earned nicknames. Like we had guys, like even my brother, his name was Pearly Gates, because they was like, that dude can jump to the sky. Like, we had, Dr. Pepper, Nate, Mojo Man. Because he was, he could handle the ball. Nate the Snake Bun. We had guys had these real like throwback 70s and 80s and 90s nicknames. And of course, when I came up, I had a dual name. I was Baby Gates because I was the youngest.
Yeah.
I was Will the Thrill. But most people call me Baby Gates. It's funny when I go back to the neighborhood now, even though I'm 52 years old, they'll be like, hey, what's up, Baby Gates? So it stays with you, and I think it's just a part of. And so I'm impressed by those kind of things. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that when I watch the game today, I'm one of those guys. I'm on the other spectrum of it. I think the athletes of today are way better than we were. We always get people saying, man, these guys, they don't play like, how we used to play. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're bigger. They're stronger, they're faster, they're more athletic. I'm like, we couldn't compete with these dudes right now. I think Larry Bird said it the best. They asked him, which Olympic team was better, the 92 team or I think the other team, where he said, I don't know which team was better, but he said the conditions that they had to play through, they sure were tougher because the reality is we got to stop judging everything based on everything we went through.
Yeah.
Because wasn't the whole goal for even us now as parents? I don't need my kids to go through what I went through.
Exactly.
That's why I was working hard. So
Yeah.
they wouldn't have to. I didn't want my kids having bullets flying over their heads. I don't think they needed that to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave that there.
Okay. Nice. And again, I love what you said at the beginning, basketball community. So just to hear your perspective, it's definitely music to my ears to see how the game affected you. Of course, you played varsity. You went to the same high school as Isaiah Thomas. And then I don't even feel comfortable asking you this, but I just wanted to talk about when that injury happened to you. How did that make you feel? I can only imagine. And again, I try to relate to things. I was playing basketball. I fell down trying to block somebody's shot, and I ended up getting a frozen shoulder. I could not move this shoulder for like a whole week, and I was afraid, do I need surgery? So when it hit me, I kind of feel how somebody else could feel, especially with everything you had in state with what direction, NBA, Nike camp, you was there. But unfortunately, that injury happened. I just want to know, how did that affect you? And was there any like real life lesson you learned off the court as far as the injury?
Absolutely. Well, I got to set up the scenario first.
Okay.
That injury happened. I'm coming off, it's my sophomore summer going into my junior year of high school. Having a phenomenal spring, had a phenomenal summer. Uh, it was going so well that at the time there was only a couple of basketball camps out that were major basketball camps. You had 5-star basketball camp, and then you had the Nike camp. And I'm at the 5-star camp and make top 20. And I'm talking about all these guys are here. Grant Hill, Chris Webber,
Yeah.
all these guys are here. And I get a call from my high school coach, like because the camp is a week long. Like Thursday, I get a call and they're like, Will, you need to go to the office. Your coach really needs to talk to you. It's very important. I'm thinking I'm in trouble, right? I get on the phone. The first thing he says, what are you doing? It's like, Coach, what are you talking about? He says, why are you down there causing all this trouble? I said, Coach, I'm not causing any trouble. What are you talking about? He says, yeah, you are. You're down there. I got every major college coach in the world calling me. What are you down there doing? What is going on? But no, he was just calling me to congratulate me, saying, hey, congratulations. He said, you are on your way. Now, this is my high school coach calling me from Chicago. I'm in New Jersey playing at the 5-star camp saying, you are turning more heads than you'll ever know. He said, I've already had over 100 major Division I college coaches call me asking, do they think I'll be interested in their school? And so I'm going back home. I'm playing the best that I can. And so what Chicago has is at the end of the summer, because AAU wasn't big back then.
Yeah.
They have what is called a tournament of champions. This is for all the teams in the state of Illinois that won a summer league with your team. So we won the summer league and we were invited to I think it was only about maybe 16 teams. And we are well on our way. We played the first couple of games. We breezed by, blast those teams, and we're playing CVS. Now, CVS is the same school. This is the school that Juwan Howard,
Okay.
the 5-5 went to.
Okay.
Playing them, we're killing them. I get a steal. I come down. I go up. I jam that thing through. Run back down court, get in a defensive stand, and that was it. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I literally went up, dunked the ball, landed, ran back down the court, and got in the defensive stands, and I couldn't move. Quickly called a timeout. And that was it. I go to the emergency room. They couldn't tell because, they do the x-rays. They can only see bones. They can't see tissues and, and muscles and stuff like that. So I got to get an MRI, but you can't get an MRI until on Monday. And so I go get the MRI and find out that it's cartilage. So I'm talking to my brother Curtis because, he's had the surgery before, and he says, they'll take it out and you'll be fine. So I'm like, okay, cool. I go to the doctor. He comes out and say, well, they got this new technique. We like to, try to preserve your cartilage. So we want to stitch it back together. Now, Curtis has said, y'all should take it out. The doctor was saying, no, let's try to preserve it because, we don't want him to end up with arthritis, later on in life. And Curtis was like, yeah, but if this is such a new procedure, will it work? So eventually they decide on me getting it repaired. So I go get it repaired. So my prognosis went from, if I would have just gotten it taken out, I would have missed 2 weeks of basketball. 2 weeks of basketball would have been the first 2 weeks of practice or conditioning. I ended up getting the repair that put me out 5 months. So I didn't even touch the floor for 5 months. My first month, I'm in this immobilizer, raising my knee up and down, just trying to keep movement in it. So I'm at this point, because I can see the writing on the wall, I'm not going to play this year. I'm not at school. I'm at home, getting my work and stuff sent to me at home because I'm in an immobilizer. I can't even walk. I can't do anything. And I just hit a funk. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't know what depression was about, but I was depressed. And interesting enough, my grades suffered because I wasn't playing. For me, it was the opposite. You get a lot of kids who they grades suffer because they're playing because they ain't got enough time. I was different. Playing actually motivated me to do better in the classroom. It's like, that was
normally it's the opposite. Like you said, if somebody got the star of the team, football, basketball, them grades low, but that's a good point. I like how you were
my motivation. And I suffered when I couldn't play because I lost it was something about having that level of who I was or who I thought I was being taken away. Like at one point, whether it was at school or in my neighborhood, people saw me as like, well, he's the next one. No doubt about it. Man, that's 𝐤𝐤𝐞. But when you get hurt, all that begins to, just die down. People go into this waiting phase to see if you will or if you won't, but they treat you like it's not happening anymore. So I went from, and then I saw the rankings. Prior to me getting hurt, even in the state of Illinois, I was the #1 player in the state. And then in the nation, for my grade, I was, number 5. After the injury, I went from in the nation 5 to 25, just like that. Just like that. So, and people got to remember after the injury, so I come back and play towards the end of the year. I played 2 games before the playoffs started. I go into the playoffs, we get all the way down to the game before I think it's time to go to state, and I missed the 2 big free throws. What's funny is, I even talked to the producers about this in the movie. I said, man, y'all focus so much on that. But I said, y'all never focused on the 15 free throws I made to even get us to that point. So, I always tell people too, even though Hoop Dreams was real, it was a little dramatic too. That was a little.
And that's what I'm so happy for hearing this now. Honestly, in the book, you talk about how much Curtis, it seemed like now hearing that, the documentary, I didn't see Curtis giving his perspective on that medical choice. That's real to me. And I didn't know about your academically being ranked in the state as well. All I knew was basketball, basketball. So I'm happy that you're sharing that now. That was a two interesting facts.
Oh, absolutely. You know, for me, when it came down to when I went to St. Joe's, my plight was different because you know how the kids say, we understand the assignment. I understood the assignment back then.
Yeah.
I knew that I was the last of my family. You know, and it went to Curtis, went to David, and now here, you know, it's my turn. And I was going to take what Curtis did wrong and what David did wrong, and I was going to do it right.
Yeah.
I had the examples before me. So I was going to take, and I did. I took Curtis' game. Curtis was that get to the bucket, go down there, dunk on you. I took David, my brother David, jump shot came. David would shoot the lights out of a basketball. So I took both of those. And then I added my own piece and say, you know what? But I'm silky smooth. So I'm going to give you the scoops, the oops, the under. I can go left-handed, right-handed. So I'm going to give you all three of these things. But when I wasn't able to do that anymore, I didn't know what the assignment was anymore. I knew prior to that was, hey, go to school, get great grades, go to college, continue the program, and get yourself positioned to go to the league.
Yep.
But when the injury occurred, I got to be honest with you, Chad, at that time, I didn't know how to recover. I didn't know how to get it back. The player that Will Gates used to be, because I had never dealt with injury before. I mean, I've had a twisted ankle. I've had, you you jam your finger, but those didn't take you away from the game. It actually put more hunger in you to get back on the floor. But when I had to sit down those 5 months, it was turmoil. And then you go to the doctor, and the thing the doctor's saying is, well, you're not ready yet. Not yet. Keep working hard. You know, you meet it, your numbers are better, but they're not where I would like them to be. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, all I kept thinking about was what Curtis said. If y'all would have just took it out, it would have been 2 weeks. And
that's interesting, man. I didn't know that Curtis gave that advice, and I think sometimes in life it is good to get two different opinions. So that's real to me, man. I didn't know that Curtis offered that to you, and he had the same surgery.
Yeah, he had the same surgery. And as a matter of fact, his was even different than mine. Back then, they didn't do scopes. They actually cut your knee.
Oh, and just take it.
It take the cartilage out. So, but my coach and my mom, you know, they had the final say. You know, I'm just a kid. You know, they had the final say, and and I trusted their opinion. You know, because I wanted it. I mean, if you think about it in retrospect, if it would have worked out, that would have been great. But the truth is, I ended up having another surgery that same year where they just took it completely out. And see, and this is the part of it where people, I was like, man, Will, you just seemed like you didn't want it. But people didn't know all the trauma that I was dealing with. Exactly. I'm coming back from that surgery. I'm trying to get back on the court. I played 2 games before a playoff start. You got to play 5 games to get downstate. Play 4, we win 4, we lose the 5th game because I missed the free throws. And then after that, people don't know this, but it couldn't have been 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks later, I have another surgery. Wow. Like literally after that game, I'm preparing for surgery. So I have surgery in May. The Nike camp, no, I have surgery in April. The Nike camp is in June. So after my surgery, I have literally a month, the month of May, to try to get ready to go play against the top 100, because that was only one camp back then. It wasn't an Adidas camp. It wasn't
Reebok
Under Armour camp. It was one camp, and it was Nike's ABCD camp. And so if you was one of the top 100 players in the nation, regardless of class, you were there.
Yeah.
So I had to get ready in a month to go play against 99 guys that have been playing all year long, that have gotten better all year long, that have grown
all year long,
mentally and physically all year long. So I'm trying to get my legs stronger. I'm trying to get my mind stronger. I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I play, with these limitations now? What are my limitations? Because I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta fill it out. Yeah.
Trying to fill it out. You're trying to get stronger because the knee got to get stronger. But at the same time, now you also got to get conditioned. And then you got to shoot again. You got to get in the gym. You got to do all these different things. So there was a lot I was trying to recover from. And oh yeah, by the way, I still got to go to class. I still got to, I'm still in school. And the other aspect of it too was I'm still a father.
Yeah.
So trying to work and make all the different things happen. And so when I get to Nike camp, I go in, man, and I felt really good about being there because I'm like, you got to be. You're like, man, I'm one of the top 100 players in the nation. So, God still blessed me. I get there. I walk in. I'm still 25 in the nation. Still 25 in the nation because, they said, hey, it is based on what I earn. Now, once you leave, that's a different story. So I leave. I go there, and the guys were just quicker. They were quicker. They were stronger. They were flowing in their gift, and I'm still trying to refigure my gift out. I never had the time to get back right. I just went right back in it.
Yeah.
So and I was and my team was amazing. I want to say, man, maybe 3 or 4 guys that was on my team at camp went to the league. Like Jalen Rose was on my team. Danielle Marshall was on my team. I mean, we had an amazing team. And I had a few good games where people said, okay, yeah, he still got a little Will Gates left in him. But it was almost like, I don't want to liken it to it, but it is a little bit how we see Derrick Rose now, as opposed to what we know Derrick Rose used to do. And that's how people saw me. There's like, yeah, but the Will Gates I saw, that joker was quick. He come down, he'll dunk on you. He'll stop at the dime. His range was deep. His handles, he's quick with it. But when they see you moving slower, when they see you can't get that shot off as quick, when you're not getting up as high anymore, they don't judge you on your effort. They judge you on your action.
Yeah.
By action, everything just looked a step slow at camp, which it was supposed to look a step slow because I had not been playing. I had not caught back up to the speed of the game. And so we go through camp. I leave camp, and I go from 25 literally to 75. Wow. And I'm grateful I was still in the top 100 because I'm saying to myself, I wasn't disappointed with the rankings because I left camp saying, man, for a guy who has not played in almost a year, I'm still one of the top 75 players in the nation. But people didn't see it that way. People were saying, yeah, but you was the next great one. Got to remember, my freshman year, you're the next Isaiah Thomas. You're going to be the next great guard. You've done something at St. Joe's nobody has ever done. You play varsity as a freshman. You're the guy. And then when you're not the guy, you recognize how quickly they move past you.
Yeah.
So my entire senior year was really just me just getting through it. That's why I committed early. I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm going to commit early because initially I didn't want to commit early at all. I wanted to wait it out because the schools that were on me kind of pulled back to see how, the knee was going to turn out. Because the truth is nobody wants to bring in a kid if the knee just going to because I hadn't played enough games. That was the thing. I had not played enough games. So, so the schools that stayed on me the strongest was Marquette, Michigan State, Kansas. Those were the three schools that kind of stayed. The other schools, they backed off and said, and I mean, and here's the thing. They didn't back off to the point of say, well, Will, we don't want you. They backed off to the point and say, hey, Will, we're calling you to let you know, man, you're still on our radar, but we just got to see. So I appreciated that. You know, they wasn't like just fell off the face of the earth. But I didn't want to wait. I had made the decision, you know what? I'm going to do this. And the school, I said that was going to be the strongest on me. That's where I'm going to go. And Marquette was. Marquette came to me, was like, hey, Will, I know about the injuries. I don't care. We believe that you could play here in our system, in our program. And I went up there for the visit, man. And I came back. I told my coach, that's where I want to go. And here's another thing that a lot of people don't know. My older brother, Curtis, when he was in college, Marquette was recruiting him heavy. He actually committed to Marquette, but wasn't able to go because of his grades. So he ended up having to go to a junior college. So in my mind, I've always trusted Curtis so much. This was like a full circle moment for me. Like, okay, Curtis, I got this for us. Nice. I'm going to be at Marquette. I'm going to live this dream for both of us. I get to do what you didn't do, but you can be here with me and we could be a part of it. So that was a full circle moment for me, you know. Now, of course, things didn't work out at Marquette like I wanted them to, because again, the knee just never held together. And funny story about that. So I remember you asked me earlier about those moments. How do you know? So it's a two-part for this. The first thing was, I remember when I get to Marquette, you know, I'm playing, have our first game. I'm not starting. I get in and score a couple of baskets. Coach takes me out the game. It's like, Will, I'll put you in, man, not to score, but to be a distributor. You know, that ain't my thinking. I'm looking like, no, man, I scored a basketball. So the next game, I do the same thing. He pulls me out, says the same thing. The next game, he barely puts me in. And then we go play Wisconsin. Now, I don't even touch the floor in the first half. When I tell you don't touch the floor, if it wasn't for the layup line, I wouldn't even know what the floor felt like, man. That's how deep it got. Wow. But we're getting crushed. When I tell you we're getting crushed, we're getting crushed. It's about maybe 11 minutes to go in the second half, because, you know, college basketball is 20-minute halves. Okay. 11 minutes to go. I still hadn't touched the floor. But in my heart and my mind, I'm like, well, at some point, you're going to put me in the game because we're getting crushed. So at the 11-minute mark, he calls my name. Get in the game. Now, here's the thing, too, that I've always known about me. I'm a heck of a defender, too. So I don't got to hit it. I don't got to shoot a jump shot to get a bucket. I can go in and get me some steals and get some easy baskets. Put me in. We're down by like 18. Put me in. First 3 plays, I get 3 steals in a row. Boom, 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 score. We down 12. Coach calls a timeout. Next thing I know, whole game plan changed. We're going to press the mess out of these guys. Will, I need you, blah, 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 blah. And next thing you know, I'm stealing, we scoring. We end up losing the game, but we only lost by 1. But we turned a 20-point-something blowout into a 1-point loss on the team's home court. The next game, coach like, Will, you got to start for me. And I'm in the starting lineup from there on out in my career at Marquette. So that moment what it taught me was that, you know, and I tell my son this all the time, who's playing college basketball now, hey, man, regardless of whatever's going wrong, you got to stay ready. Whether it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 30 minutes, when your moment shows up, be ready. And that's all I was doing. I didn't know if the coach was going to play me or not, but I stayed ready mentally, because at the end of the day, when you are on a team, yeah, regardless of the role, you gotta support them. Your brothers out there fighting.
Yep.
And I had to support them. So when them jokers are coming off the bench and they're tired and they getting, subbed in and out. Hey man, you good? Hey, listen, man. Listen, I noticed this. Because I'm watching the game. Hey man, they cutting you on the back up a little bit. But you gotta help them. And next thing I know, man, my number was called. And because if you stay in it, you stay engaged, your moment will show up.
I love what you just said, man, staying ready. And again, as the basketball community, that could be a tough situation. You've started all your life, you go to another program and you're on the bench. You're like, I've never done that, but I think it helps you grow. And even with me, my junior year, I was a starter. We needed more defenders. My senior year, they were trying to get me to start just because I was a senior, but my team dynamics has changed where the guys was quicker. They're shooting more jump shots. I said, Coach, I'd rather come off the bench. Everybody thought I was crazy. You a senior, you letting us down? I said, I don't even care if it comes to the last game of my career. When it's time for me to show up, I will. In the same scenario, we were down. They didn't know where to look. The coach put me in. I brought that defensive energy in, and we almost won a game, a playoff game. So I agree 100% with you. Basketball teaches so much, man. And I know that injury, how you rose above that, man, basketball teaches so many lessons. My next question for you, we've covered a lot, and I'm gonna slowly wrap it up. Just family life. What did, by you having, the family life and basketball, from Curtis to your wife, I believe she was your fiance at the time, or was you married at Marquette, and your daughter, what has basketball shown you about just life, a life lesson in general?
Well, I'll say this, man. The correlation between basketball and life, I think, starts with here. It takes effort, energy. You got to stay engaged. You got to stay ready, because family life is just like that too. You got to stay engaged with the relationships that you are in. You got to stay ready because at any moment, anything can happen. It's like I shared with you earlier. The phone rang. It's easier for me to pick it up and say, "Hey, sweetheart, I'm doing an interview," as opposed to not answering it. Because we don't live a life of avoidance. We got to live a life of, tackling what comes before us. Because just because you avoid it doesn't mean that it's still not sitting out there waiting on you. It's just like if it's cold outside, what, you gonna wait till spring before you go outside? So with those similarities, man, what I've learned is that you got to prioritize every aspect of it. It's just like when we were playing the game, coach, we always started out the year with all of these things we wanted to accomplish as a team. And of course, and after that, you have your own personal goals. And that's kind of like how family is, my wife and I, we always talk about the things that we want to accomplish with our family. And then we talk about, the things that, we want to accomplish in our marriage. And then you have your own personal conversation with yourself, like the things you want to accomplish within your family or on the court. Like, for any guys to say that, they don't want individual success, sometimes you're really lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Because your individual success typically leads to team success. So, and sometimes the individual success doesn't have to be, man, I'm going to score 30 points a game. No, sometimes it is, I'm going to make sure, though, the 2 points I get, I'm going to make sure my team gets those 2 points every game. Because what if it's the game that the 2 points you were supposed to put in, you didn't, and y'all lose by 1? So, because you didn't add your personal challenge and success to it. So, I take all those aspects of the game, especially like, because I'm a defender too. I understand positioning. To me, life is all about positioning. You got to hear the talk from people. Are they trying to back cut me? Are they trying to go around me? You got to use your peripheral vision. You got to see not just a conversation this way, but you got to see the conversation that way too. You don't be blindsided by something. So it's I teach my boys this way, great defenders understand this. It's ball, you, then man. If you can't see it, then you ain't in the right position. And every time my kids played, I made sure they always saw me. They were on the court, but they knew what dad was sitting at in that stance. Because to me, presence is important. And again, it goes back to ball, you, man. If I can't see the ball and I can't see the guy I'm guarding, I'm out of position. If my kids turned around and they looked up in the stands, and if dad, then guess what? I'm out of position. Now, obviously, you can't make every game,
For
but
sure.
you're like, hey, I'm not going to be at this game today, but I'll make sure I'm at these games. So I think overall, man, the reason that sports and life correlate so much because the same challenges exist. And they literally, because we function in life that way. It's, I mean, if you really think about it, let's take baseball, for example. A guy that's batting, 300, we say, man, he's an amazing hitter. But the truth is, that means he hit the ball 3 times out of every 10 tries. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
that's not, ain't even, or we look at a guy that's shooting 50%. And we go like, oh man, that dude, yeah, man, he's killing game. Yeah, but you're like, yeah, but he's missing half of the shots he take. So
yeah.
to me, that's how life is. You're not gonna get everything right. And you might miss out on half of the things that you want to do in life. But the half that you do get right, man, it can mean the world to you. It can mean, man, I look at it now, man. I have, even if people see behind me, I didn't get to the pros, but I got a St. Joe's jersey. I got a Marquette jersey. Right now, I'm 50% ahead of the game. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I live in that moment and those accomplishments. And I used to always tell people this: we too busy trying to smell all the roses. Why don't you just stop and smell one rose? Just one. Sit back, reflect on your life accomplishments, because that's how you build on it. And I've been able to do that, and through my boys, I've been able to watch them grow and love the game and see them go off and play college basketball. And my last son, he's playing college basketball right now. And I just go like, man, like, he called me the other day. He's like, Dad, I want to go in there and talk to the coach. I said, talk to him about what? He's like, I just believe I can help us do more to win and stuff like that. I said, let me tell you something, son. First of all, you never want to talk to a coach when y'all losing. Because when you talk to the coach when you're losing, he's going to take it out on you and everybody else in practice. I said, you don't want to do that, because I said, coaches like to use these moments to say, okay, I've been trying to win it your way. So now y'all need to listen to me so we can win it our way. That's his moment to take control of his team. I said, what you need to do is show it through action. Dive for a loose ball. Encourage your teammates when they're on the court. Tell a big guy, hey man, we need you to win. You do those things. And I say defensively, man, be a hawk. Be everywhere. See everything. Understand the game. Know your surroundings. I said, let your talk be your actions. And I said, guess what? When that happens, you ain't gonna have to worry about, can you get into the office? He gonna call you in.
Yep. Wow, that's so real, man, and so true, man. Like the actions speak on the court as well as just in general life. And I love what my dad would always say. He's never seen a referee change a call. I couldn't stand, if I was a basketball coach, that would be my pet peeve. Don't talk to the ref. I will handle the rest. But when you see guys complaining, if I know when a ref called a fake, false call on me, the next play I said, I got you. I would go and try to block the shot, get a steal, and look back at the ref and say, you made a mistake. And now I'm getting it right.
I get it. I get it. But I do think that coaches need to, it's a tough space for a player to be in, simply because you can't ask guys to play with so much passion, so much heart, so much dedication. And when anybody feel like they're being done wrong, they want to respond to it. But now you're saying, the coach is like, I need you to calm down. I need you to, don't use all that passion in that. And then here's the caveat with it. But then you see the coach, he acting a fool. He going off on the referee. You're just like, wait a minute, coach, you don't want me to do this. So I get what you're saying. It's tough, but I think coaches need to give players a space to address that immediately when it happened. They need to call them over and say, hey man, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Listen, this is what we're going to do about it now. As opposed to going to the referee. Coaches need to call that guy over right away. Hey, what happened? Man, dude grabbed me. He smacked my hand. He did this. All right, this is what we going to do. This is how we going to handle that.
Off a good play.
Yeah. But you got to grab them right away. When I was coaching my guys for AAU, and they were getting upset with the referees, timeout. I would grab my guy right away. Hold him by his shoulder. What's the problem? Man, he looking at all that. Talk to me. What's the problem? Because you yelling at him, he could put you out the game, but I can sit you here. Talk to me. And he would tell me what's going on. All right, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to handle it this way. This is what I need you to do. And then he'd go back out and execute. But I think you gotta grab that athlete and pull him to the side, because the truth is, it's funny, as athletes, when the referee give us the call, we all good.
Yeah.
When the call is against us, boy, we ready to fight the referee. So I just think you got to grab them, because what you don't want to do is, man, you don't want the thing you've been putting them in is to play hard, have passion, have grit, and then now you're telling them, I'm gonna need you to tone that down.
Yeah, especially as it's a hyped up sport, man.
Yes.
Because in basketball, you can talk it, but you can also walk it on the court. If somebody say you can't guard me, and they literally shoot in your face, it was true what they say.
It's true what they say, and truthfully, sometimes, as crazy as this may sound, some guys play better when they angry.
Yeah, facts.
I mean, they rebound harder, they play defense tougher. So it's like it's a weapon of, it's ammunition for a lot of guys. I mean, I've seen my sons do it. He get popped in the face. I said, oh boy, that beast about to come out of him now. Now he's blocking shots, he's grabbing rebounds, he's dunking on guys, because the anger has birthed another level in him. And sometimes I think, I just think the coaches need to grab them guys, grab them, keep them engaged, and keep them out there on that floor,
Okay. Well, man, we're kind of running just out a little bit of time. I got just two little quick questions for you. Sure. And I don't feel comfortable asking you this, but I have to ask you this. At the time you and either Arthur or past athletes went, they didn't ever want y'all to make some of the money. So now with the NIL deal, and I know now you have your business, Hoop Dreams.
HD22.com.
HD22.com. Can you explain to people, looking back at it now, are you happy for those athletes? Because I already know, I see your products now, your website, but back in those times when you went, if the NIL deal was happening, it seemed like you're doing it now anyways, and you're generating income and have started a business. Was that easy or hard to do?
Well, let me start with the NIL first. First of all, I'm excited for these guys getting the NIL money, because I think it has been long overdue. It's a shame that you need a law for your name, your likeness, and your image. But then, even like now, I don't even like the fact that they tell you, but you can do that, but you can't do it in our uniform. So you can't, like, I can't have on a Marquette jersey for an NIL deal, but I can use my face, but yet the school can use my name, my likeness, and my image and put that up there. So I think there's still some things that need to be worked out, but I'm grateful that those guys are getting the money to do it, because there's too much money that's passing hands that isn't going to the players. And the reality is, even when I was in school, I think my freshman year, we were given $250 a month. That was a stipend. That's what the conference gave each player. Man, $250 a month is no money, because here's the thing that people don't recognize. You can't go work. How you going to work?
Right.
Literally, we were committed to 70 hours a week to school and sports. So after that, when you got time to work, and the fact that the school was making so much money off of it, and I know people say, "Well, they're giving you your scholarship." I literally had came up with a thing before the NIL. I said, "Okay, if you guys don't want to pay these kids money, let's do this." Because you, as an athlete, particularly I'm talking about your basketball and your football players, because we can't like go do internships, because they take our summers too. We can't go do internships. We can't really go and learn the trades and tricks of the world and those nature. When we're done with school, after you graduate, if you don't go overseas and play ball or NBA or whatever professional level, the school should pay for you to get a master's, where you can just focus on, getting educated in the world. Now you can do internships, you can build the type of relationships you need to build. Because I can honestly say Marquette was an amazing university, but I wish I would have got more out of it academically, personally, in terms of building those professional relationships that I never got an opportunity to build. Because Marquette, like I said, is an astounding institution with relationships up the wazoo. But because basketball puts you in a bubble, you don't get to really participate and experience it the way that you should. But if I would have had an opportunity to go to grad school on their dime, now I'm just a regular student. I'm functioning, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm building. So that's one aspect of it. But again, now I will say this: if the NILs was going on back in my time, man, I'd be loaded right now. We'd be loaded. There's no doubt about that. And the other question you asked me was,
just starting what you do, building your own brand now and monetizing. Was that hard with the internet and everything we have today? Is that a challenge for you, or it's just a matter of—
actually, it really wasn't a challenge. The brand itself was kind of built already.
Yep.
I kind of just tapped into it because, interesting enough, I birthed this out of COVID. I was just sitting at home and doodling and said, you know what, man, I'm going to start a clothing line. Because my counterpart, AG, he was already doing a clothing line.
Yeah.
And so I called him up and said, hey man, I'm gonna let you know, man, I'm gonna start a clothing line. And I said, I'm gonna call mine, HD culture. That's what I'm gonna do. I said, that's what I want to do, because I said I believe Hoop Dreams is a culture, and it impacts people on various levels. From, matter of fact, I saw a thing that hit my Facebook yesterday. They give you the memories, where Damian Lillard shot at AG and I was saying, hey man, if it wasn't for Hoop Dreams, probably wouldn't even be here right now. So it impact people on many different levels. And so as I started it, I just thought about what Hoop Dreams meant to me, what it meant to other people, and then I want to build into that legacy. And getting it started, during COVID, you had a lot of time to do a lot of research.
Yeah.
A lot of time to do a lot of reading and figure things out. And interesting enough, how I really got it going was, as crazy as this may sound, I invested money in Deutsch at the time, and I made a good penny. So I took the coins and did that and turned that over and built the business from there. And so and again, it's really just, for me, a love of the brand itself to give back to people. That's why anytime I do post stuff about hoop dreams, and particularly the clothing, I let people know, hey, it's authentic because it comes from me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that's using the name Hoop Dreams.
Oh, yes.
That's got clothing lines that's called Hoop Dreams. As a matter of fact, my counterpart, he cracks me up all the time. He's like, Will, man, ain't you mad about that? I'm like, AG, yeah, but the difference is, I said, if people get something from somebody else that's using our name, I said, at some point, they're going to want what's authentic. They're going to want what comes from you. They're going to want what comes from me because they'll know it's authentic. I said, it's just like now how people are wearing knockoffs.
Yeah.
I said, you can wear a knockoff, but in your heart, you know it's fake. But then when you get the real one, how much more comfortable are you when you out there in the street? Because people can tell knockoffs.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, like with his brand, you know, one of the things that people don't recognize is the Hoop Dream symbol that he uses on that. It is actually how it's on the posters. Okay. So he used that font. I'm like, AG, don't nobody else got that but you. That's authentic. And I said, well, mine, I say AG because I'm HD culture. It's authentic. I say the way mine is sketchy. It's authentic. I said my HD 22. I say the way that it goes, it's like it's the H and the D built almost like into a triangle. So I said, AG, true hoopers know, true fans know, and they'll want authentic. I said, even if they go get something else that says Hoop Dreams on it, they'll know.
Exactly. Well, man, I want to appreciate your time, but before we get out of here, what is something that readers can look to expect out of this book here?
I think the biggest thing that I wanted people to get out of the book is simply this. The reason it's called The Fifth Quarter, Dreams Never Die, is because that's life. You know, there's what we're all hoping for is an extra period in life, and the extra period will come. Until God takes you home, there's always going to be, you know, whether we call it overtime or we call it extra session, whether we call it the next level, whatever we want to call it, there's going to be some extended time. And what we have to do is not be intimidated or get exhausted or get fatigued to walk into that extra quarter of life. You know, if you think about it, basketball, the window is so small. It's so small. I mean, from the time you physically, let's really say high school, because I really can't count grade school per se, but for some, it's high school, and it might, and really for a lot of people, it stops after high school. I mean, that is, so now you're talking about a 4-year window in terms of it being, you know, on a competitive level. But then if you go on to play in college, and let's say you do 4 years, okay, now you got 8 years under your belt. That's still a very small window. And then let's say if you go on to the pros, the reality is everybody ain't gonna have LeBron James' career where you playing in your 20th season. You might get, you know, the average NBA life is 3, maybe 4 years. So let's say if you from high school, college, pro, you got 12 years of basketball under your belt. That's a very small window of your life. And you got to be ready to go into that fifth quarter, because the fifth quarter starts when, not necessarily, I want to say that when that dream dies, because you could take that same dream and just turn it into something else.
Right.
But the goal of the book is to let people know that all those different phases and aspects of your life will ultimately build up to where you finding your greatest joy in life. And whatever it may be, sometimes, you know, you can find it in your family, you can find it in your work, you can find it in your friends, hobbies, whatever it is, it'll lead you to that. Like for me, it has led me into ministry. That has been one of my greatest joys in life. That's one of the aspects of the fifth quarter. It's the thing that you're doing now, that you're still engaged in life, I'm still applying the same principles. When I teach and preach, I'm still applying it. If people really look at the heart of what I'm teaching, it's still basketball principles in itself. You know, I laugh, but I start the services with a shot clock. I mean, people don't even get that. It's a countdown to them, but it's a shot clock to me. You know, I'm watching it and I'm waiting for it. And soon as it hits 0, I click the button, it's game time.
Exactly.
And the way I look at it is when I'm same way you and I are talking right now, when I'm teaching on Sunday mornings, that's the basketball court for me.
Exactly.
That's the basketball court. And it goes in quarters. Even the way that I teach, I got my intro, first quarter. I'm giving you the meat of my sermon, second quarter. Third quarter, I'm finishing up. And the fourth quarter, I'm telling you what's happening next week. I still apply the same basketball rules to my everyday life.
Exactly. And I've come to that same conclusion too. Pastors to me are no different than coaches. That congregation is like the team. So I get it. Great analogy, man.
When I was pastoring full-time in Chicago, and we had the physical building church, literally my vision was drawn out on a basketball court. And I had first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, and I called it the E4 vision. And the E's was engage, encourage, equip, and then empower. Those were the 4 quarters of the church. Engage simply meaning is that, you know what, we need to go out and evangelize. We need to engage the people and let them know that, hey, we're here for you as a church. And then when they come into the church, we got to equip them. That was the second quarter. It's all about, giving you instructions and helping you become the person that you need to be. And then the fourth quarter was all about encouraging you, because a lot of times you can get information, but I believe this, God is enough, but Sunday isn't enough. So you need more than just revelation. You need tools. So, and then when you get the tools, we got to not only show you how to use the tools, but we got to encourage you as you're using those tools. And then the fourth quarter was empowerment. Now, we didn't walk you through these phases. Now we got to encourage you to go outside of the church and you become the leader. It's just like with basketball. If my coach, Dennis Doyle, my sophomore year, we were playing in the Proviso East tournament. If he had not put a demand on my game, I don't know the kind of player I would have been. But I was at a stage in my life, or the first quarter of my basketball career, and he was the first guy that was like, man, you soft. I thought you was from Cabrini Green. You ain't tough. I wouldn't even tell people I'm from Cabrini Green. And we go out in the second half, and he's like, I'm like, Coach, what play we running? It's called you get the ball, go put it in the basket. Try that play. And man, I kid you not, I scored 40 points. And after that game, that coach was like, I knew you had it in you.
Yeah.
I just had to pull it out of you. And that's all we're trying to do, man. I'm just trying, I've been, even now with Thrive Ministries, I'm just letting people know, listen, I'm just trying to put a demand on your capacity, get you to think differently, get you to think greater than what you're thinking right now, and help you grow, in your faith.
Got you, man. Well, this has been a pleasure. Again, we're going to put your contact information up here. Where can people find you? We're going to edit this video too and put everything up there so people can contact you. I highly recommend to follow your ministry, your books, and I'm pretty sure with that 30th anniversary coming up for Hoop Dreams, you're going to be doing a lot more for sure.
A lot of things, but as a matter of fact, I'm trying to get this body in some shapes for this All-Star game coming up in Indianapolis. So I'll be down there in Indianapolis for the All-Star game. But people, if they want to get the book, Hoop Dreams Fifth Quarter, they can get that a couple of ways, hd-22.com, or they can go through amazon.com and get the book. And also, but if they come through my website, they'll get a personal autograph copy. And Yeah, you know, and if people wanted to reach out to me personally, they can find me on all of the social medias. My tagline has always been the same: Hoop 22 Dreams. So that's where I'm at on all social media platforms, and of course on Sunday mornings, if people want to be a part of Thrive Ministries, you can just tag into my page, Will Gates Hoop Dreams. It'll be right there, and you can get that on Facebook and YouTube.
Well, thanks so much, man. We're going to list all this information. I want to personally thank you again, part of the basketball community. I've always been a fan, but I was just so shocked when I saw you had wrote a book, and I was like, man, to see the documentary and then see the things that were not covered in the documentary, it was just an amazing and phenomenal thing. And I want to leave you with one note. In that Hoop Dreams video, I remember you saying that statement. You said a lot of people say, please don't forget about them when you make it to the league. But you say, I turn around and tell them, what if, don't forget about me if I don't make it. In this moment now, that was such a true statement. I kind of see how it looked like it all played out, because here we are now, and you're carrying on, you're encouraging people, you're ministering, you're writing books, and you're still a part of that community. So I think that documentary, it sealed the moment right there on tape, who you really are. Basketball, on the court and off the court, you are William Gates for sure.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I thank you, Chad. And man, listen, keep doing what you're doing, man. I mean, you're helping a lot of folks out there, whether it is, you know, helping them bypass all this college debt out there, or just simply, man, giving them nuggets of life inspiration. Because I mean, the reality is, as much as people don't see what's happening, we daily need that inspiration, because a lot of times people still wake up in the morning like, you know, feeling dreadful. So, man, I thank you that you're out there, man, giving people hope, giving people encouragement. And I will admit this, man, you got some of the craziest videos out there too. So,
oh yeah. Oh yeah, and while we're talking about basketball too, just one little nugget too, when you talked about sometimes when you're on the bench, you have a way to look at everything differently. When I was on the bench, I would always look at point guard. They always go right. When I get in the game, I'm going to force them to go to left, and that's how it works. So again, with the student loans, I'm trying to knock this book out, The Student Loaners, Are You a Winner or a Loser? And I'm doing exactly what you're doing. You've led the way. I'm using basketball to explain what's going on with student loans. And I really enjoy everything that you said. Basketball is a phenomenal thing. I'm happy to be a player, and I'm happy to be a part of the community. And even though as it's changing, I just love basketball for some reason. I can't explain it.
hey, it's in us, man. It's in us. It's the thrill. I was watching sports out, you know, this weekend, especially my team, Marquette, because you know we still in that top 25. But I see those young guys out there, man. It brings, you know, if you played the game, it brings so much joy to your heart, because you're looking at these guys, man, and you see them fighting for their dreams. And who knows where it may go. But I look at the effort and the energy and the prowess that they bring. All it just reminds me of is like, man, all these dudes are winners, whether they win that game or not. All of them are winners, because when they step on that floor, man, they are giving 110%. And I know sometimes they don't make every shot and people get all mad and frustrated, but I keep telling people, yeah, but if you understood what these jokers are going through Monday through Friday just to get to this Saturday to play this game, you would appreciate every moment that they did step on that floor, because they are giving you everything they got, even when they ain't got nothing to give.
Yeah, that is so true, man. And again, I thought I was going to do something, and my coach said, hey, we're going to average a guy, I think that averaged 40 or 35 points. I said, coach, you mean 20? We're country boys from the cornfield. And I met Chris Paul and played against him. By halftime, that joker had like 35 points. So I get it. People really don't know what it takes to put into the energy of playing basketball. So I criticize nobody to the best of my ability what they go.
That's why I never get into those discussions. Who's better, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant? I'm like, I appreciate all their greatness, because the truth is, if there is no Mike, we get no Kobe. Yeah. If there's no Dr. J, we get no Mike. I mean, I appreciate, if there is no Wilt Chamberlain, we don't get a dominant Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Somebody has to to start it, and somebody else was supposed to come along and build on it and make it better. But I always recognize it's funny to me that there's always this aspect of it where, like you see these things on Facebook or social media, start one, bench one, cut one. And I go like, why? Yeah. Why are we arguing about who's the best basketball player to ever play the game? Because it will always be subjective. I mean, there's no way to say that Jordan is better than LeBron, or LeBron is better than Jordan, or Isaiah Thomas is better than Steph Curry, or Steph Curry is better than Isaiah Thomas, because they played in so many different eras. Yeah. I mean, that's just because. And here's the other thing about it: they always changing the parameters. First it's about championships, but then people say, well, Bill Russell got 11 championships. Then it ain't about the championships anymore.
Yeah, I saw that.
Then it's about scoring. Then they say, well, yeah, but LeBron, he's the all-time leading scorer. Well, it ain't necessarily all about scoring. And, they constantly changing, the parameters of what greatness is. And I just look at it this way, man. I just enjoy, I never was one of the guys that spent my time in the barbershop arguing about who's the greatest. All I tell the dudes is, I say, listen, man, you better enjoy it because you're going to look up and they ain't going to be there.
Yeah.
Like people didn't think Mike was coming to an end, but it happened. People didn't think Kobe was going to retire, but he retired. Yeah. D-Wade retired. Yeah. LeBron will have to retire.
Yeah, he will.
and if you spent all your time arguing about if he's a player, the best player or not, you missed out on all the greatness that he did bring to the game.
Exactly. Well, man, this is going to wrap it up. I'm having so much time and fun with you, man, talking about basketball, life lessons. But I guess, as you just said, somebody has to retire. Things will come to an end. I'm going to go ahead and probably go ahead and end this podcast, man. Thank you so much, William Gates, for coming here. Again, we're going to put all your contact information. And again, this is the Chadwick Experience podcast, where experience is priceless. And today we had William Gates, and the message was basketball and life lessons. Thank you all.
Thanks for tuning in to Chadwick Experiences podcast. Please go and see this movie called Hoop Dreams. And please don't forget about William Gates' new book, Hoop Dreams, 5th Quarter Dreams Don't Die. Also, check me out at Chadwick Experiences, where I'm always talking about college, trades, and alternative pathways. Thanks again for tuning in to the Chadwick Experiences podcast. Check out my books, blogs, podcasts, and cash prizes promotions.